to let the papa dog out. So I want to sort all of these different things out as good as I possibly can in this video and in my own brain. I need to do inventory. I need to sort it all out and figure it all out, where what belongs, and I want to see it in the most correct way there is, in the most balanced way there is. I don't want to criticize something more than it deserves. I don't want to praise something more than it deserves. I want to be fair in my judgment with this and evaluation and in the way I feel emotionally about things. So I want to say that I am practicing gratitude. I'm not some spoiled brat that's ungrateful and that just feels entitlement and that just wants love through proof of money. No, that's not who I am. Absolutely not. Okay. So I do deeply and infinitely appreciate when someone helps me, when I get money, when someone cares about me, cooks for me. I appreciate that deeply. What I don't like and what feels really, really bad is if I'm in a situation with my brother who's supposed to get 50% of the love and 50% of everything that proves that love, and I'm supposed to get 50% of the love and all of this. A shared love, or 100% love would be the best. I don't know if that's the case. 100% love for him and for me. And to prove that would mean he gets 50% and I get 50%. Not him getting 3 times more than I do. That is not justice, and that is not a sign of love. That doesn't come across to me as love. If he gets more than 3 times more than I get for additional life support, child support. It's very painful. It's very painful when there is such an imbalance. It's very painful. It makes me feel like I'm not loved enough. And that feeling cannot be shaken off as long as it is this situation. It cannot be shaken off. So it just perpetually puts a knife into exactly the same wound that I have already taken with me from my childhood. It puts exactly the same knife into it. The way my brother communicates with me is like someone who writes a corporate letter to an employee. Very cold, very void of emotion. There's no friendship. There is no togetherness anymore. It's like a very official, friendly kind of void of emotion type of letter. We're being reasonable here, reasonably cold. That's the letter, that's the tone. I had to check on my emails. I finally did yesterday. I wonder if I should have done it. I wonder if it was the right decision for me to do. Because it kept on bothering me, thinking about my mother, that she feels like I don't love her anymore. That thought bothers me very much. It bothers me very much. And I went back on my decision, which is very painful for me. I thought I had figured this out now. I thought I had liberated myself. And every day I kept thinking about my mother. What if she's suffering? What if she's thinking that I don't love her anymore? What if that hurts her very much? It kept bothering me real badly. I don't want my mother to feel rejected or unloved. That would cut into her pain, into her childhood pain. Even if I have momentary feelings of hate, the love I have for my mother is infinite. And that would never change, okay? Nothing can change that. Nothing ever has changed it, and nothing ever will change that. Even if she became extremely mean to me, even if she murdered me, I still infinitely much love her. I love that living being unconditionally. Every cell of her body, and the living being that gave birth to me, you know. Love is unconditional, okay? Real love is unconditional. And that's what I feel for my whole family. I feel it for my brother too, and for my dad, and my aunt, and everyone there, every single person, every single living being. Some people I have to protect myself from, okay? Because some people are dangerous in this world. But from a wider perspective, reflecting on all of this in meditation, I feel unconditional love for every living being, no matter how mean they are. Because I see it from a wider perspective. I see that their body cells don't want to hurt anyone. They have been drawn into the wrong path. They have been drawn into the wrong actions by their hurt, by the ego. That's what the ego is. The ego is all about misunderstanding things. The ego sees, because the ego sees everything from a very lopsided viewpoint. So they all get brainwashed. The ego gets brainwashed. The ego gets entitlement. The ego gets coveting, jealousy, all of these kind of things that then the ego makes the person do something like a marionette, like a puppet. The body cells don't want to go along with that. They actually suffer from that. When a hunter kills an animal, his body cells suffer from that. This is a fact. It can actually cause the C word. His whole body, his entire body suffers from that. People have gotten leukemia from this type of internal discrepancy, this internal tug of war. That's what can happen. It's very symbolic, that illness, for that internal tug of war. Come back to who you are. Come back to your body cells. Come back to what your body cells want. Got my roll of toilet paper ready. Being true to oneself means whoever you are, whatever your upbringing is, your religious beliefs, whatever your bully stepfather or father or anyone told you in your life, your body cells, they don't want to hurt anyone. They don't want to bully anyone. They don't want to be unfair to anyone. They don't want to go hunting. They hate that. Your body hates that. Be true to your body. Be true to your cells. Be true to your biology. Be loving to your bodies and your cells and your needs, your physical needs. Eat healthy food. Don't eat animal products. Don't bring a child into this horrendous world. The world has become horrendous because of people's egos, because of overpopulation, because of disregard for the consequences of people's actions, irresponsibility, commerce, pollution, global warming. Religion. Religion is a massive destroyer of life. It's being sold to the public as pro-life. But if you look closer, there's a clause. There's a lot of clauses. It says only human DNA. And not only that, only human DNA that belongs to their religion. Okay? Now we're talking division, duality, war. That's what religion created. Okay. If we come back to our senses, we see that this is not a way to continue existing. I am grateful that my parents are giving me money. I need that money. I have severe anxiety, OCD. I'm very disabled by my anxiety, my mental illness. Mental illness always sounds like someone is totally not clear in the head or something. That's how I grew up, learning it from. That's what that word implies, sort of, like, oh, she's mentally ill. Then they can wash their hands with that and run off and thinking, oh, we don't need to listen to her, right? That's a mistake. It's often people who are much more tuned in that suffer the most psychologically, that suffer the most in the most obvious way. Yeah? The ones that are not tuned in, they have split the most. Those are the ones running this world into the ground, the ones that have split the most. Then you step back and you look at it and you ask yourself, who is the one that is actually more damaged psychologically? Who does more damaged actions? The person who sits there complaining and crying and having anxiety and nightmares, or the person who is actively participating in downgrading the quality of life for all? That's a very valid question to ask. For anyone who is a member of a religion, you are, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, you are inevitably part of the destruction cycle. It takes a lot of courage, I understand, to step out of that, but we have no choice. We have no choice. Society, humanity has no choice other than for every single individual person to look within themselves, do an inventory, cry things out, become very clear and clean about what's going on, how things are actually located in the brain and in the world. How everyone is interacting with the other, and how the whole of society is interacting with people and with the whole, and how the media are, they've become almost like an autonomous entity now. There's an energy in there, in those movements. People feed into it. They feed into it when they watch kinky movies, where some writer somewhere has lived out his kinky fantasies against against women, and they make that into a movie. I'm not holding it against the actors because they don't know that, they're not even aware that they are, by acting these roles, that they're feeding into this never ending same old sexist plot and message and destruction message. Same old thing. You know, sex is, that is a wonderful thing, you know, just like eating, just like eliminating waste is all important, you know. Those are very important, visceral, biological functions in an animal. We are animals, okay, and all, it's all wonderful, okay. We are a mammal species, just like the other mammal species. The same thing. The human does not stand on a pedestal, okay. They want to always think they do, you know, and the religion feeds into this, into that ego type of way of thinking, but it's false. It's a misunderstanding. What that has done, what kind of suffering that mindset has created on this planet, I could not express that in words. It's endless. I mean, on so many different accounts, on so many different, in so many different areas of living. Endless suffering. The agricultural industry getting exempt from the cruelty laws, from the hard worked for anti-cruelty laws. That's just one example of many examples. And then they justify it with their religion. They open their Bible that was written 500 years ago, and they go, here, see, this is because some completely confused person wrote this some time way in the past. A very confused person that they go today, to this day. We're supposed to be beyond all of this. We're supposed to be rationally thinking. And they open that. I've seen these Bible thumbers. I've seen them. I've talked to them. They have their quotes ready. They have a little, I don't know, a little sticky paper in every page, and they go, oh, there it is. Here it is. It says there, you blah 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 blah. That's horrendous. What's it written in there? The implications of that, if people follow that, and so many do, the implications are tremendous suffering. What they do to the pigs is extreme cruelty and insanity. And they are just as sentient as we are. You can see it in their faces. You can see it in their eyes. Their eyes are full of fear when you see the white like this on the side. And horses too, and dogs, and all mammals. And many other type of animals. I'm not talking about, that's what they always like to do. They always like to bring vegetables, plants, and insects into this equation, and they go, oh, you went. No, I'm not talking about right now. I'm not talking about those beings that don't have a central nervous system. I'm talking about the ones like us with the central nervous system. What has religion done to the other species? It's very important to reflect on this. Very important to reflect on this. It's very important that every single person does an inventory, and do that before you are on your deathbeds. Do it now. Because if we do it now, while you're still young and vibrant, you still have a life ahead of you, then together as the world community, we can make life for all beings better. If every single person would do an inventory and meditate and reflect on how they're living their lives. And maybe they need to end certain behavior and begin to do healthy behavior, responsible behavior. That's the love message. When I do this here, I feel like there's a lot of anxiety in my hands. I feel the shaking. I feel the shaking of my muscles. We can make the world better. I mean, on every level, in every niche and respect. We women can have short fingernails that are practical. It's probably not as practical to have nail polish, but I am into colors, I'm into visuals, so I like nail polish. I'm also feminine and bubbly. I have a lot of estrogen, and that's good. Okay, there's nothing to be ashamed about this. Sexual expression can be done in a wonderful way, in a gentle way, in a mutually beneficial way. But people take it, they let their egos hijack sexuality into neurotic forms that are destructive and violent. Why can't people see this? Why can't they see it for what it is? You know, kinky stuff with bondage is violence. Let's look at it for what it is. There's nothing exciting about it. Only the ego thinks this is somehow edgy or whatever. I don't like edgy. I don't like violence. Violence is not the path forward. And a man doesn't have to be dominant, and the woman doesn't have to be submissive. I'm very submissive when it comes to sexuality. But I would never tolerate someone hurting my body. And submissive doesn't mean that we have to, I'm not, I'm not active. I'm not like doing a bunch of stuff, So very submissive in a passive way. So that's what I mean by submissive. Very passive sexually. All the way from the beginning to the end, I'm very passive. I would never force myself on anyone. I would never make the first move. I would never touch the man all over the place. Not in a sexual way. I would give a gentle touch as comfort or support, emotional support. But I'm not like all over the place or something. And I would not demand anything from the man. I wouldn't be forcing my satisfaction or something. That's not the most important thing. When we're together with another being, what matters is that we are there for that other being. That the other being's well-being, the other being's satisfaction is what we wish for. Not for our own approval, but for their well-being. That's what love is. And even in a brief sexual encounter, which is, there's nothing wrong with it, there too should be love, at least, in the sense of, I'm not going to hurt anyone, or I'm not going to force anyone. So in that sense, mutually. And the man can be on the bottom, the woman on the top, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's wonderful. People have all these crazy ideas about things, the way things should be done, and whatever this symbolizes that or that will create this outcome, and it's all a total misunderstanding. Everything should be conducted with kindness and love, support for the other. No fetishes or certain, then they mix status into it. Status is very quickly mixed into this whole pot of sexual act outs and hierarchy. And I understand that happens quickly because women want a man who is financially independent, myself included. So I would love to date Jeff Bezos. I would love to. That's very, very awkward and that's very daring for me to say this. But it's the truth. So, and I'm not ashamed about it. It's not just because he's financially independent. It's because of this tremendous brain. Someone who can create something like this is just, there's a lot going on. I find that tremendously attractive. And we women want a man who is a provider. This is biologically in our cells, in our beingness, way of thinking. There's nothing wrong with it and nothing shameful about it. The problem becomes when people attribute, the real problem starts when people start acting out when their neurotic act outs happening, that's when the problem begins. When people put status above well-being, above health, above responsibilities, above kindness and compassion. And that happens a lot. I see that a lot. That's when things derail. So if I had a choice between getting Jeff Bezos as a boyfriend versus saving my papa dog and my husband, oh, there's absolutely no question, right? I mean, my papa dog is I live for my papa dog. It's my number one. Right? And I would rescue my husband also before that. So, my husband is not my husband. He's only on paper. We're best friends. We're not romantic anymore for a long time. We're best friends. He doesn't want to lose me because he's afraid that he'd be completely alone if I left. So, and I can't stand the thought of that because I care about him. He's my best human friend. And the papa dog is my best friend. He's the best friend I have. My best friend that is still in physical form. My papa dog is my everything. He's my child. And he is not a child substitute. My papa dog is my child of choice. My papa dog is my dream child. Just as Kenny was my dream child and my other dogs before Kenny. This flower is for Jeff Bezos. It's a little bit phallic, but it's beautiful still. A phallic rose for Jeff Bezos. Love comes first before anything else. Okay. Whatever is going on, love, responsibility, being there, compassion for others comes first. And that is the love message for the world. Okay, you guys take care. Bye.